The Heinkel S3B turbojet is the world's first operational jet engine. It was developed by Hans von Ohain for the German aircraft company Heinkel in 1936. Its first use in the air was on August 27, 1939. It was first tested on the Heinkel HE-178. The S3B was a centrifugal flow engine, meaning that it was mounted on the fuselage of the plane instead of on the wings. At 11,600 RPM, the engine only made 1,100 pound-feet of thrust, which was actually pretty low compared to some of the pre-existing fighters. Work on a newer, more powerful engine, the Heinkel HE-S6, began immediately. Around the same time, Frank Whittle submitted an idea for a turbojet engine to his superiors in England. Whittle created his first running engine in 1937, 1 year later than the Germans. However, his first engine would not stop when its fuel supply was shut off. Apparently, fuel had leaked and pooled in the engine. The engine continued to accelerate until all of the leaked fuel had burnt off. Because of this, the English government was not interested in Whittle's turbojet engine, hence the reason why the Germans got the jet first. During September of 1939, 1 month after the HE-178 would fly, the Germans invaded Poland with Blitzkrieg, or lightning war, tactics. This is the catalyst event that started the Second World War. And in December of that same year, the Soviets bombed Helsinki, Finland, in what is known as the Winter War. At this time, the entire world was on the brink of war. A year later, the German Luftwaffe would lead bombing raids on London, called the Battle of Britain. And it wasn't until 1941 when the U.S. would get involved after a surprise Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. Now World War II was in full swing. Heinkel's revolutionary S3B engine paved the way for the Junkers Jumo 004 turbojet, which powered the legendary Messerschmitt Me-262. The Jumo engine was the world's first production turbojet in operation. The Jumo 004 made almost 2,000 pound-feet of thrust at 8,700 RPM, making it much more powerful than the previous turbojet engines. This engine was cheaper and easier to maintain than the competing BMW 003, leading to its popularity among aircraft manufacturers. Following World War II, German jet engines were studied by the Allies in order to create their own turbojets. Many improvements were made by the Allies, including an increase in power and a decrease in engine weight. These improvements made the aircraft more efficient and cheaper to fly. Another advancement made by the Allies was the building materials used. Although the original German airplane designs were very good aerodynamically, they could not use the best materials due to the war effort. Because of this lack of materials, German jet engines generally had to be replaced every 10 to 25 flight hours. In the 1950s, British jet engines were manufactured in the United States, and some were sold to the Soviet Union. Both countries reverse-engineered the British engines and eventually developed their own. These new American engines would go on to power the F-86 Sabre, and the Soviet engines would be used on the groundbreaking MiG-15. By the mid-50s, jet-powered airplanes were standard in the U.S. and Soviet militaries. Since the 1950s, the jet engine has progressed greatly. Although it started with military service, jets can be found almost everywhere. In the 1960s, commercial airplanes like the Boeing 737 really started to take advantage of the efficiency and speed offered by these state-of-the-art engines. Jets really took off with the commercial market and have been used in numerous different aircraft from around the world. Now almost every commercial aircraft in the world uses jet engines. And without these marvels of technology, our lives would not have been the same.